Hi, friends. Thanks for joining us. It's been a while. Do us a favor, if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button. It really helps channel grow. It helps get the word out. Benny, where can they find us on social media?
Yeah, you can find us at Ray Benny Sports. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I guess we're still on TikTok. Probably shouldn't be with the American takeover. Who knows? Check us out also on Reddit and Discord. And don't forget, leave us a rating on your favorite podcast provider.
We're on TikTok, but we're definitely not active.
No, I don't think we've had anything there for a bit.
Craziness. Let's get right into it. CFL negotiation window, free agency period. We've already expressed how we feel about that. Maybe it's changed. Who knows? I'm having a fun time watching it this year. Obviously, a little different than years before because the Bombers are doing something. So let's give a grade to Kyle Walters in the front office so far. What would you give them or him?
Yeah, I mean, there's still obviously still holes and things to fix up, but I'm going to give him an A for a solid start to the day, I guess, really, because yesterday was just crazy, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I haven't seen too many signings going on today anywhere, really. But yesterday was wild. Like, I don't know, it felt like minutes into it, there was already the announcement of the Bombers signing Jarrell Broxton,
Yeah.
right? And it's like, holy crap, didn't this thing just open? You know, and I know a lot of people are going to go, hey, that had to be negotiated before the window opened, right?
Always.
And at the end of the day, hey, get rid of the window maybe and just start signing free agents. Who cares? Because it's like it's done. I know they can change their mind until next Tuesday or whatever, but for the most part, it's not going to happen, right? I
Yeah.
know it happened yesterday with BC and Demario Houston or whatever happened there,
Yeah.
but for the most part, these guys are signed and they're going to stay signed, right?
It gives the CFL definitely a week of action online. Like, it got us out of our hiatus. We're like, dang, look at that. Let's get back on there. Let's get it going again. So it does give the CFL media coverage, which they need desperately,
Yes.
especially with the Super Bowl and stuff. Man, they're going toe to toe with that Super Bowl weekend off.
Yeah.
I also give them an A, him. I really like the specific signings they have. You know, I was really looking forward to them hopefully signing Tommy Neal, and they went out and got him. I think he's a great receiving weapon for Caleros, one that's been missing, perhaps not having that safety valve since Wolotarski left. Guy has great hands, great size, Canadian passport, comes up big in big games. Of course, Jake Serezna, who I wanted in 2025. So a year later, it's good to see him there. Obviously, hopefully he remains healthy, but you know, with Lawson and Schmeckel, I think that'll help Willie Jefferson. A lot of folks, when Willie Jefferson was signed earlier on, in, you know, the extension before he hit free agency or didn't get a chance to, folks were like, dude's getting old. He didn't have a productive year. He didn't really have a lot of help on the line either. When the tackle
No.
can kind of cheat over to Willie Jefferson, maybe the guard can even help him out when they're not worried about the interior of the line as much. You know, that's going to affect Willie Jefferson. That's going to slow him down because he's taking a lot of punishment. So hopefully with the signing of Jake Serezna, that'll happen. And like you mentioned, the Jarrell Braxton, that's a gem right there. A possible succession plan for Stanley Bryant. Who knows? Who knows? It might be him at the left and Stanley Bryant on the right tackle, depending on what goes on in training camp and who else that they sign. But yeah, you know, he's 30, a few good years left. This could be like a Stanley Bryant signing.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing that I look at is because it's a 2-year deal for Broxton, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, either he is taking over for left tackle right away, or he'll be that left tackle next year. And hopefully, yeah, it's kind same kind of plan, right? I don't think they expected to have Stanley Bryant until he was what 41 now. He's turning this year, I think.
Yeah.
Right? You probably weren't thinking, hey, I'm going to have this guy for that long. But if you can do it again and have Broxton for half as long, I mean, that's perfect in that sense as well. It'll be interesting to see what they do. Who's playing left tackle and right tackle in that. But and you mentioned Drake Resna too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, a couple years ago would have been fantastic. Right now, it's like, okay, you're kind of holding your breath a little bit because you're like, which Jake Resna is going to be? The dominant Jake Resna or the one that battled injuries and inconsistencies last year with Edmonton, right?
Yeah.
So hopefully it's the former because that D line, and we've talked about it, that D line needed some fixing, basically, to put it basically, right? So hopefully that's it. And you get someone because James Water now signed in Saskatchewan. You need someone on that other side of Willie as well. And hopefully that D line can be disruptive again.
Yeah, and also with the signing of Neil, the receiver, and possibly having another Canadian starter, that frees up to maybe getting an American on the interior line where they don't have to push the ratio and they don't have to force. I'm not saying that they are forcing a Canadian to play on the interior line, but it tends to be that way in the CFL where if you're willing to take a bit of a hit, you're going to put a Canadian on the interior line rather than obviously a tackle or anywhere else. So hopefully with the receiver, you can open up a spot for an American on the line and hopefully make that line better. Uh,
Well, now, so if you go back, I mean, obviously they signed Tim White as well, right? We
yeah,
didn't even mention him. So you got Tim White and you got Ontario Wilson, who would be the two American receivers, right? Then you got Dembski and Neild. You got also still Claircius there, right?
yeah.
Like I'm trying to think of and who
Jared
did they
Stearns is
sign
gone.
Cobb? Stearns is gone, but they signed
Yeah,
Cobb, right?
yeah,
And he's also Canadian, right?
yeah,
So yeah, there's a lot of Canadian talent on that wide receiver core, right? And that, like you're saying, it allows them to play someone somewhere else because you also got. I mean, it'll depend. For me, the old line is set on the outsides, right?
oh yeah,
Question marks now still on the inside. Gabe Wallace will be another year starting. How will he fare? Who's going to be the center? Is it going to be Eli or is it going to be Neufeld? Is Neufeld moving to center? I don't know if he can even do that. So and then you got the other guys coming back like Randolph, Vanderpool. I'm missing someone, but so they have guys there already. I don't know if they're going to address it any further in free agency or if they're going to go with what they have,
yeah.
right? And then for me, the other spot would be the backup QB that they really need to look at. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with the rest. Is Jonathan Moxley? We forgot to mention him.
Solid
Another
DB.
DB, veteran DB back there. So
Yeah.
yeah, some good moves. Definitely some good moves.
And of course, he freed up what he was going to do when he was able to sign Oliveira early, when he was able to sign Dembski early, Jefferson, Bryant, Neufeld, got Vavel done early, even being able to sign down Reddick Ramsey. That helps you
Yeah.
with your roster and knowing that you have that Canadian talent there. So I'm maybe A plus ish, but very good job by Cal Walters. I think they learned a tough lesson last year. It's either you're getting better or you're getting worse. You can't stay the same.
And that's the question, Nick. Last year, what were they thinking? Because we've said it. Why didn't Kyle Walters do this last year? But
Yeah.
what were they thinking? Did they think, hey, we're set? Like we don't need to go after guys because we have a solid lineup and we're going to be fine.
Yeah.
And obviously they misjudged it a little bit. It didn't work out that way, but yeah, it's some good moves. And I also on top of it, I like that some of these guys have signed for a couple years and not just 1 year.
Yeah.
And I know anything can happen in football and the CFL, and guys will get cut before bonuses are due and that second year starts and stuff like that. But I like that these guys are at least signed for a couple. I think Sresna and Broxton for sure, Neild as well.
Yeah.
I can't remember on Moxie what he signed for. White's, I'm pretty sure, is only 1 year. So, but yeah, I like those 2 year deals at least.
Going back to your point about you don't know what they were thinking last year, I'm going to say pride kind of settled in. I think they believe too much in that locker room culture that they can go in, be competitive for a Grey Cup without improving the O line, without improving the D line, and going in with a rookie offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
That's a lot of
Yeah.
belief in the culture that you've built rather than getting more talent on teams that have lost pretty convincingly in the past two Grey Cups, and to believe that running it back with pretty much the same crew and not improving, I think there's a little bit of pride there. That's just from an outside eye, a fan. Just saying.
Aren't you on the inside?
Huh?
Aren't you on the inside?
Inside of what? What's one word you'd use to describe the first couple of days of the negotiation period?
I'm going to go with wild, right? Because like I said, it started crazy and there was just an announcement of signings. And it's funny because it was only just a few teams, right? That got into it early. It was Winnipeg, Edmonton, and Ottawa really that just got into it really early. And it was just news was coming quick. And I was like, wow, I was expecting some information, but I wasn't expecting all this in the first hour. So I'm going to go with wild.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. It's great. It's again great media coverage for the CFL. Get CFL fans excited about the league going into next. When is free agency start next week? I guess. Sorry,
Next week's
officially. I'm gonna say bomberific. Don't get me wrong. There has been some great signings across the league, but the Bombers signed the top O lineman that was available still because I believe Hardrick was already extended. They signed definitely a top 5 defensive lineman in Jake Ceresna. So they addressed two major concerns in a big way right away. So I'm going to stick with bomberific. I'm sure a lot of stuff is going to happen during free agency, but as of right now, I'm pretty excited as a Bomber fan.
The one good thing, and go back to the windows and all that stuff, right? Like you have the excitement now And from watching Twitter yesterday and being on Twitter, there was a lot of tweets
Yeah.
about it, right? And that's good for the CFL. And hopefully the CFL will see that and try to capture some of that, right? And we know next Tuesday, when I think it's Tuesday, might be wrong, when the free agency to these deals actually gets announced by teams,
Mhm.
right? You'll get maybe that excitement again, and maybe you will have one or two guys that did back out of their deal and now sign with someone else, to get that excitement kind of going again. Hopefully it doesn't happen to the Bombers, but
Yeah.
you got to get them talking, because who's going to the Super Bowl's this week. There's a lot of chatter about the Super Bowl in the next few days. Then the Super Bowl happens, and then next week there's going to be more chatter about the game of the Super Bowl. So yeah, CFL, it's a tough time for them, but they got to take advantage of it.
Yeah. The window is a good thing. Which announced Bomber signing are you most excited for? I think mine's pretty obvious. Yes. Offensive lineman. Sorry, I forgot his name. Jarrell Braxton.
Yeah,
Solid
Broxton,
signing.
isn't it?
Sorry, thank you, Broxton. Solid signing, but Jake Ceresna for me is the thing, because the Bombers, when they were dominant and when they were winning Grey Cups, that D line was something to be feared, especially when they had Jeff Coat and Sales on that defensive line. And now they have Ceresna, who can play both inside and outside, lining up. So yes, they need another end. I'm looking forward to seeing who they bring in. Might be a scout. Maybe that might be on Danny McManus's shoulders. But I really like Ceresna if he can stay healthy.
I'm going to go with the guy that actually signed officially already. I'm going to go with Tim White. I'm excited to see now this offense again. I know a couple years ago we had that high-powered wide receiver group, and it kind of didn't turn out to what we were expecting it to be, right? It was good, but it wasn't as great as we thought, right? We thought it would rival some of the past Bomber wide receiver cores. So I'm excited to see what this one will do with Tim White, Ontario Wilson, Dembski, Nealed in there. Like you got some firepower out there, right? And
Yeah.
Clarcius, we saw, took a step last year, and then you throw in Oliveira. If that O line comes together and you make some good signings, I feel like this offense can really get it going and help out the defense, which has played well over the last few seasons, but the offense has just been too hit and miss to get things going. So I'm excited what this offense can do with Tim White and now involved in it as well.
Yeah, I mentioned on Twitter, if this could be very much like a Weston Dressler type signing when they brought him in later on in his career. He still had a few good years left, still a contributing receiver. He didn't have to be the number one target every week,
Yeah.
but still was a threat and opened things up for the quarterback. So this could be one of those signings. Who is the big splash signing so far? Did I say mine already? Jake Ceresna, yes.
Yeah, Jake Shoes.
Who's the big splash signing so far in the CFL?
I'm going to go back to the Bomber. I know. Yeah, I'm going to stick with the Bombers on this one. I'm going to go actually Jarrell Broxton. And we kind of talked about this because it gives the Bombers now their succession plan, right? When Hardrick left, you didn't really have anybody there, right? And they signed Lofton, and he had a good first season. Last year, I don't know what happened to him with injuries and all that stuff. But I
Yeah.
like that Broxton's coming in, top lineman out there. And this is probably it for Stanley Bryan, right? It's a year by year basis. But I like that the Bombers now have their backup plan at left tackle, and hopefully that will continue in the same path
Yeah.
as Stanley Bryan. So yeah, I like that move, and I think it was a big one right off the bat.
Same path as Chris Walby and Stanley Bryan. Two of the
Yeah.
greatest tackles in CFL history on Winnipeg.
To
Big
go back to this though, sorry to cut you off there. It just drives me nuts because you could have had Liam Dobson last year for this kind of price, right? And a Canadian guy that would have been at guard, and I know we keep bringing this up, or I keep bringing it up a lot. But I like that they did it now, but I wish they would also done it last year.
For me, it would be the Trey Ford to Hamilton Tiger Cats. Other than possibly Winnipeg and possibly Ottawa under Ryan Didwitty, I think in Hamilton under Scott Milanovic and behind Bo Levi Mitchell, this is a great opportunity, system, program, or whatever for him to grow in and be a capable starter. I think he will get some snaps. There will be a Trey Ford package. I am convinced. I think Milanovic will find a way to use his talents to get him more confident, so he won't be totally cold in case Bo Levi gets injured. And we got to look at Milanovic's coaching history. He coached the likes of Trevor Harris, Zach Caleros early in their careers. And then he got great numbers out of guys like Ricky Ray and then Anthony Calvillo and now Bo Levi Mitchell in Hamilton. He's a former quarterback who made it to the NFL as an undrafted player. So he knows what it's like to be a developmental guy. He knows what it's like to be an underdog. So he'll be aware of the shit that Trey Ford has been going through, the pressure that he's been hearing across the league since he was the face of the Elks and almost the face of the CFL without having proven anything yet.
Yeah.
So I think this is a great situation for Trey Ford moving forward. I'm not saying that he's going to be a starter the next couple of years or whatever, but in regards to him getting developed properly, I think this could be a great signing for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and I think it'd be great for Trey Ford.
Yeah, it's a good spot. And like you say, he needs to sit for a bit and just kind of watch and learn. And Bo Levi is a great guy to learn from Milanovic too. So yeah, that's a good spot. I'm just kind of hoping a little bit with Winnipeg, but you just don't know what you're going to get with Trey Ford. Is he going to turn into that guy, right? Or are you going to invest 2 years into him and then, hey, find out, okay, he's not that guy. He'll be better served at just being a backup at this point throughout his CFL career, right? So
I think at this point we do know what we're getting with Trey Ford. You're getting a very mobile quarterback. You're getting a great athlete. You're getting someone who's not experienced at reading professional defenses yet, is can't make those decisions at that quick rate, and who is very not accurate from the pocket, but can be accurate on the run. I think it's very clear what this quarterback can do. Sorry, that's an alarm. I think it's very clear what Trey Ford can do at this point. So
yeah, but
I'm
can
very
he
excited to see what Milanovic can do with that skill set now.
yeah. That's the thing. And can he expand on that and become better at those other things that you're saying that he's not good at?
Yeah.
Right. And he got thrust into action right away in Edmonton, and it wasn't a good situation.
Right.
Like the best situation was last year was a little bit better, but still they were still getting their feet wet with Mark Killam as their new coach and all that stuff. Right. Fajardo came in, veteran guy. He knew how to handle that stuff better. So yeah, good for him. Good move. It's crazy the amount of moves. Like, I'm not excited. I'm looking forward to see what Ottawa can do with all the guys that they've
Before
signed.
you move forward on that,
Oh,
I'm still going to continue with the Bo Levi and Trey Ford thing. I think it's very good in the relationship. It's different from Fajardo because Fajardo was still coming in as someone who could compete for that starting thing, even though they said, oh, in camp, Trey, everyone knew his game was not ready to go yet. So I'm pretty sure Fajardo was ready to take the start position. But now Bo Levi is the undoubted starter, and he knows this kid is not a threat, and I'm sure he will actually take him under his wing. It's not like Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, where they bring him as a first rounder and he could be a threat on day one. Like, Bo Levi's not worried about this dude, I don't think, taking his job.
No, I can't see that either right now, especially the last couple of seasons that Bo Levi's had, right?
MVP candidate.
If you're Hamilton, you don't want Bo Levi to struggle and then have the everyone calling for, hey, let's see what Trey Ford can do, right?
No.
You really want him to at least sit for a year and learn from these guys and then see what happens after that. Because again, Bo Levi, Zach Claros, these guys are getting older, right?
Absolutely.
And Father Time, we talked about this, is undefeated. And when it's time, right? And we thought Bo Levi fell off the mountain a long time ago, like 3 or 4 years ago, or whatever it was when he left Calgary. And he's found some rejuvenated youth or whatever to have 2 good seasons the last couple of seasons. So we'll see where it goes from there. But
he's a bit of an ass. He looks like one of those guys you want to punch in the face, but he's very effective with offenses and quarterbacks.
Yeah, that's true.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so the moves that Ottawa made, like I'm looking at them, there's a lot of moves. DeMario Houston ended up in Ottawa after that. AJ Allen also, right, to Ottawa. Some big moves from Ottawa, but we've seen Ottawa make these moves before, and it just hasn't panned out. So I'm excited to see kind of what these moves now that you got Dinwiddie there, if they're going to translate. Same with Edmonton, right? Lots of moves, and they've done. Ed Hervey likes to spend money on this day, and it doesn't necessarily translate into good things either. So we'll see where those are at. To me, Calgary's been very quiet. BC's been very quiet. So
yeah.
And Saskatchewan's getting raided a little bit, right? Because that's what happens once you win the Grey Cup. Guys want to get paid. So it's good. It's good. It's exciting to be back talking about CFL football again in February.
Hell yeah. Excited to see what else the Bombers do. Benny, anything else to say to our friends?
You know what? Just thanks a lot for listening. Good to be back, and we'll talk to you soon.
And because I forgot, at the top of the show, special shout out to our sponsor, Fahrenheit Airbrushing. Stand out on the ice, pavement, the field, or in the stands with a custom airbrush helmet, goalie mask, or any type of project. It's a local Manitoba business with affordable solutions. Check out Fahrenheit Airbrushing on Facebook, or you can call them at 204 891-7431.
And don't forget to tell them that Ray and Benny sent you.
And in the words of Ed Whalen, in the meantime and in between time, that's it. Another edition of Ray and Benny Talk Sports.
Hey, friends and neighbors, don't forget to check us out online on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at Ray Benny Sports. And don't forget to check out our YouTube channel. Leave a like, leave a comment, tell us what you think.